Good evening and welcome to tonight's Monroe City Council meeting. This is a regular business meeting for Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. The time right now is 7:05 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and ask that our clerk this evening, Sherry, please call the roll. Thank you. Councilmember Fisher, will you please lead us in the pledge? I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item we have on the agenda this evening is item number 4. This is public comments. Is there anybody who would like to speak tonight? I do see that we have one person who has signed up to speak on the public comment sheet. That person is Wendy Werber.
Wendy Weicker.
And before you speak, let me go ahead and just read in. The public comment is a limited public forum. Spoken comment is limited to in-person comment only. Written comments can be emailed to the city clerk at monroelaw.gov and must be received by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting for advanced distribution to the city council. Written comments received at the time of the council meeting will be distributed to the council at the council meeting. Pursuant to the council rules of procedure, written comments will not be read into the record. Last thing is that please mind the 3-minute timer. If your comments exceed 3 minutes, any further comments can be submitted to the council in writing at the email address provided earlier. Please go ahead and state your name for the record, and then we'll start the 3-minute speaker. Also, your affiliation with the city of Monroe.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Thomas, council members, staff. My name is Wendy Weicker, here again on behalf of my team at Republic Services. First, I want to reiterate our sincere apologies for last July's service disruptions. We absolutely appreciate the frustration and inconvenience this caused the Monroe community and your trust in us. As you know, customer service credits and city reimbursements have been processed to help make things right. Please know we value our partnership and are truly sorry we let you down last summer. Second, on behalf of my drivers and Republic Services service reliability, I want you to be assured that our recycling, organics, and garbage collection services in Monroe are running smoothly as they normally do and have for years. My Linwood-based team is committed to serving Monroe with excellence at every door, on every street, every time. Now, tonight you're discussing next steps for the future of our solid waste collections contract with the city of Monroe. Regarding the options before the council tonight, Republic Services believes the most cost-effective and least disruptive path forward for the community is to amend our current evergreen contract. Pursuing an RFP over the next 3 years would be time-consuming and costly for both organizations and would likely result in higher rates for our shared residential and business customers at the end of the day. We can do better than that by sitting down together and working through formal updates to our contract like we've done in the past when either one of us has requested official changes. I want to assure you that the few contract amendment provisions Monroe leadership have identified for your consideration can be easily worked through before our two teams. Republic Services is committed to our partnership and eager to codify any changes you'd like to make to strengthen our partnership. We have several examples of customer credit, performance fee, community event, and communication protocols that would be relatively easy to discuss and include informal amendment language. Regarding the communication improvements you'd like to see, I'm happy to continue that work now, as we've already begun working with Monroe staff to finalize this winter's inclement weather plan that already includes many of the deadlines, timelines, and operational contingencies we already rely on when our toughest winter storms arrive. To close, let me be clear and finish where I began. My team and I sincerely appreciate your business and the privilege of effectively, efficiently serving the Monroe community with trusted, reliable service collection service. Republic Services is fully committed to implementing the robust, formalized protocols to address the issues you've raised and want to see updated in the contract. We value our long-term partnership and look forward to regaining your trust and providing our essential services to Monroe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next person. I just want to confirm, is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening during the public comment period? Again, this is not for one of the two public hearings, but it's for the public comment. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. And that item would be for the public hearing. We're going to go ahead and start off with the interim R7 zoning ordinance. And before you proceed with the hearing, please note that the rules of procedure that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and on the city's website. To summarize, after the hearing is open, city staff will present a staff report and council members may ask questions for clarification of staff or wait until another time. The public hearing is now open. For the record, I'm informing all parties interested in these proceedings that the city clerk has forwarded to the city council all timely written and otherwise recordable documents that have been submitted regarding the subject matter of this public hearing. At this time, I will go ahead and ask that Anita Marrero, please go ahead and provide a description of the matter that is under consideration. I'm sorry, just a second, Anita.
Can you get closer to the mic?
Yeah, if we, and Anita, if you could confirm that it's on as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, one more time. I'm here to present the public hearing for the interim R7 zoning amendments. This interim ordinance allows townhomes in the R7 zoning district. The ordinance supports Imagine Monroe, the Housing Action Plan, and the housing policies of the 2024-2044 Comprehensive Plan, also meeting the city's vision for middle housing. The original interim R7 ordinance was adopted by City Council on March 25th, 2025. This interim ordinance has since expired, and staff is in the process of drafting a middle housing code, but because of staff workloads and some other state-mandated code amendments that we were required to do, still working on that. So we are requesting that adopt another interim ordinance because we have received a lot of interest from the development community to continue with townhome developments in the R7 zoning district. The proposed code changes are to MMC section 22.16.030, and this is adding a permitted use to the land use table for attached dwelling units in the R7 zoning district. Also amending MMC section 22.16.040, which is adding a column to the attached dwelling units for bulk regulations or requirements for lot dimensions, setbacks, and lot coverage. Also adding a section to the design standards chapter, and this is specifically for townhome development. The recommended action tonight is to accept as first reading of ordinance number 026/2025, adopting interim zoning amendments to chapter 22.16 MMC single family residential zoning districts and chapter 22.42 MMC design standards, designating townhomes as a permitted use in the R7 zoning district together with associated development regulations, setting forth supportive findings, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. So before we move on to public comments, I do ask, do any of the council members have any clarifying questions of staff? All right, seeing none. At this time, I'll ask if there are any members of the public who wish to speak to the city council on this matter. Unless council wishes to impose a different limitation, there will be a 3-minute time limit on each speaker. Your time will begin after you introduce yourself and provide your area of residence or association with the city of Monroe. Please be respectful of all speakers and the hearing procedure itself. Please also note that the hearing is an opportunity for you to address the city council. It is not a question and answer session. And as stated previously with the public comment, if your comments hit 3 minutes, you will need to stop your comments and then submit any additional comments in writing to the council at the address previously provided. So with that said, I do have a sign-up sheet. I do have one person who has signed up. That person is Michael Connor. Please come forward and again, state your name and your association with the city, and then please mind the 3-minute timer. And Michael, just a second, could we confirm that his microphone is on, please? It is on. Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can
Okay,
hear you now.
cool.
Yes.
Michael Colbert, I'm a small business owner here in town. As you see, I'm just ran for my Taekwondo class just to get here to kind of make a comment to the council. So I'm trying to buy a building, right? I want to move my Taekwondo school from a leased building to a normal building. I want to purchase downtown Monroe. I want to make a building better. But it's a little bit not small business friendly. There's a traffic impact fee, traffic study fee that there's like this fee that goes based on rezoning of a building. It's great if you're a big business, not if you're a small business. And so I did a preliminary, normal, pre-development meeting or whatever. And so these fees for me would be close to 70 to 80,000, which then prices me out of actually purchasing a downtown building. It limits my small business because now I can't cap my lease costs. I can't bring people in downtown. And this new zoning fee is literally, I'm 100 feet away from where my previous building is at. And these traffic impact fees, when we do the pre-council meetings, they say per line code of it's $28 a square foot, but they refuse to do rough math, knowing that it's going to be an astronomical fee for a small business owner like myself. So we'd like to invest in downtown, but it makes it really, really cost prohibitive because I'm cashing out my entire life savings in order to be able to purchase this building to make downtown a little bit better. But if you're a big box store, those fees can be absorbed. They're just written off. But a small business like mine, I've been here for 35 years, makes it hard for small business to invest back into Monroe because now all of a sudden I'm being priced out with my leases. So I figured I wanted to bring this to council. I wasn't sure if you guys were aware of this because you guys just write it on paper. Oh, that sounds good. Somebody wants to buy a building. Awesome. But your small business is what you want to invest back in your community. Those guys can't do that. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Maybe you guys think of an area of if you have more than 2 locations, you assess the fee. Maybe if you have 1 location, you waive it. I don't know. There's probably a bunch of different ways. You guys are pretty smart about coming up with stuff like that. But investing back in small business and in your local community it's been what you guys have been all about for a really long time. So I figured I'd just voice my concerns, let you guys think about that, talk about that over, and I'm going to run back and teach class. So thanks for your time.
All right, thank you. And then just referring to Ms. Monroe, just to confirm, this is not part of the R7 proposal that's before the council this evening.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so council, with your permission, I'd like to go ahead and just put a note in the record, the spoken record, that his comments were part of the public comments earlier. We don't expect that everybody understand which part of the meeting to speak during. So by just me making a comment here that what you shared is relative to public comment from earlier, I'm sure the council will consider your comments today as part of future decisions that come before it. Thank you and have a good evening.
I've got to run back and teach class.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak this evening on the R7 public hearing? This again would be the public hearing for R7 zoning. All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and turn to the council. Council members, do you have any additional questions of staff or a motion? And I would ask that staff please go ahead and put the requested motion on the screen for council's consideration. Okay, and I'll turn to the council. Any questions or a motion? Councilmember Beaumont, go ahead.
I move to accept first reading of ordinance number 026/2025, adopting interim zoning and amendments to chapter 22.16 MMC Single Family Residential Zoning Districts and chapter 22.42 MMC Design Standards, designating townhomes as a permitted use in the R7 zoning district, together with associated development regulations, setting forth supportive findings, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. I have a council member from motion Beaumont. Okay, we'll try that again. I have a motion from Councilmember Beaumont. And I have a second from Councilmember Fulcher. Any discussion on the Beaumont, or we'll say motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item number 5.2. This is a public hearing, 2025-2026 Mayor's recommended mid-biennial budget adjustment and related revenue sources, including consideration of possible increases in property tax revenue for 2026 and final reading of the 2026 property tax ordinance. And I will not read in everything that I read in for the R7. Please note that everything that I did read in for the R7 public hearing still applies in terms of how the presentation goes. We do have one person signed up to speak, and as a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes to speak when you get up. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and ask that our staff, Julie, go ahead and please provide the presentation. Thank you.
You got it. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here to present the second public hearing related to revenue sources and the property taxes, as well as the mayor's recommended mid-biennial budget adjustment. Next slide when you're ready. So my intent is to quickly go through the slides that you have seen and focus on the questions that council has had. You can stop me at any time if you want me to go over any slide or have any questions. Next slide. So tonight's meeting is for a public hearing on the revenue sources and the second reading of the property tax ordinance. The public hearing for the mid-buy budget adjustment must be between August and December, and then the property taxes must be approved on an annual basis. Next slide. So tonight's meeting, November 18, includes the second public hearing for the budget adjustment, adoption of the 2026 property tax levy, adoption of the stormwater utility tax, and adoption of the water utility tax resolution. Next slide. And our budget goals are to true up the beginning and ending fund balances for all funds, meet general fund reserve targets per the resolution, fund non-discretionary expenditures, amend the CIP, ensure we maintain our core services, and achieve long-term sustainability. Next slide. So I'll get into the economic forecast and revenue assumptions. Our property tax levy, as I stated, must be adopted. Oh, sorry, next slide. Must be adopted annually. And this is the 1% increase that was included in the adopted budget. And this is our second largest general fund revenue source. Next slide. The mayor's recommended budget adjustment ensures that we meet our target reserve, which is 17%, our 2 months of our operating expenditures. And we also have a contingency reserve goal, which is 8% of the general fund expenditures. And I should go back, our target reserve requirements are which set by policy, which is 2 months of operating expenditures would be our general fund reserve target, and then our contingency reserve goal of 8% of the general fund expenditures. Next slide. The mid-buy budget process includes updating the beginning fund balances based on actuals and assessing performance of revenues and expenditures and adjusting accordingly. Based on this, the mayor is bringing forward this budget adjustment. And this ensures that a reserve policy target is met and covers non-discretionary expenditures that are exceeding budget. Next slide. Our budget modification target was the 3.7 million. And to get to that target, we propose the use of our contingency fund of 1.7 million and implement budget modifications, which I will go over in next slide, and use of REAP funding. The impacts of the use of REAP funding are delaying the campus study, delaying the campus monument sign, and then reallocating uncommitted REAP revenue. This proposal leaves a contingency reserve balance of about 348,000. Next. The 1.8 million in budget modifications includes keeping 4 general fund positions vacant through the end of the year. And that's the finance manager, the parks manager, and 2 patrol officers. It reduces travel, training, and supplies across the city. It reduces our contractor services for an economic development, professional services, human services, lobbyists, both state and federal, and communications. and reduces the fleet transfer from general fund to our fund and includes recognizing grant funding specifically for police and court services. And then next slide. Thanks. So these actions were discussed on prior slides. This is just the impact these actions will have on other funds. I'm not going to go into that unless there's any questions about it. And then on the next slide, I just want to highlight the parks capital improvements. This question came up at the last meeting and what in regards to what the impact to parks projects would be. And this includes delaying the North Hill Park project, reducing funding for passive park acquisition, postponing the pros plan update until 2027, and the design of the North Hill Park, removing funding for security cameras and park information signs. But it does recognize the $350,000 in grant funding for the Rotary Park project and ensures that project is fully funded. Next slide. And so I went through all of the recommended budget adjustments in prior slides. This summarizes them. Unless you have any questions, I will move on.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, you can go back to slide 16. Yeah, Everett Water rate increase.
Yes.
So I'm pulling a little bit of this information from the consent agenda. Might keep me from pulling some of that if we can talk about it. But in there, it talked about the rate increase and how we didn't find it until we started doing invoices. Is that correct? Or would you rather just have me, looking at the mayor here, would you rather have me pull, I think it's 6.5 out of the consent agenda, or discuss a little bit of this here?
One moment, just a second. What is your preference, Julie?
It's spelled out more in the consent agenda.
Yeah, you can pull it out in the consent agenda and discuss it.
Okay.
You know, we can vote on the consent agenda and we can discuss it there if you like.
Okay.
Like
Perfect.
that, we can go ahead and focus on the public hearing that's
Great.
before us tonight.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So then I'm going to go back to slide discussion items. So starting with slide 19, council expressed interest in potentially maintaining funding for some contracted services. Potential options are included here. The first one being including some funding for state and or federal lobbyists. And this would include one-off communications with legislatures on behalf of the city regarding bills and priorities, and answering questions from staff on legislation and our other questions. Our funding for human services consultant, which would include work reports, drafting content for city human services outreach, assistance with human services grant opportunities, assistance with human services events and stakeholder meetings, or other one-time human services support as needed. And our funding for economic development specialists, primarily to continue Lowe's negotiations, annual business survey, business newsletter, and respond to business inquiries on behalf of the city, or other one-time economic development support review as needed. Any one of these would use the contingency fund balance of $348,000. So next slide. Council also asked about the impacts of delaying fleet transfers. To provide some context, there's 4 alternatives that are included here. The first one is to delay replacement of the 12 police vehicles by 1 year. And this was what was proposed in the budget amendment that is going forward. And this could potentially increase the purchase cost due to inflation. The second option is to reevaluate these purchases as we are moving through our next fiscal budget process. So midway through 2026, look at where we're at financially and determine if there is a potential to fund those delayed purchases in 2026 with revenue or resources that become available. Third option, fund vehicle purchases as budgeted originally. If we used contingency to do this, then it would leave a balance of 91,000 in our contingency fund. The fourth option would be postpone replacement of all general fund vehicles for 4 years. And that, just for context, really, those vehicles currently are on a replacement of 15 years, most of them. So it would move them to being replaced in 19 years. And this would only fund 93% of the replacement of one police patrol or sergeant vehicle, and could potentially significantly affect the delivery of services in other departments. Next slide. So alternatives would be to adopt the mayor's recommended adjustment as it is, adjust the contingency reserve to restore some funding for contracted services, modify transfers and allocations, specifically reallocate REIT or general fund transfer to fleet fund, or take no action and don't make any adjustments to the budget, which would mean we would not have a balanced budget. So next slide. So the timeline, we went through what is on the agenda for tonight. We will return December 2nd with a proposal to adopt the 2025-2026 budget adjustment. So this would be the opportunity to make any adjustments to that. And that's.
All right, thank you very much. So do any council members have any clarifying questions of staff before I ask for public comment? Go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough.
I don't think we have a meeting December 2nd, do we?
We have a special meeting, I think, on December 2nd.
We do?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other clarifying questions before we open it up to public comment? All right, thank you. All right, so now it's time for the public comment. Just as I stated before, for the R7, you'll have 3 minutes for public comment. We'll start the timer after you've stated your name and your association with the city of Monroe. As before, when you reach 3 minutes, anything else that you'd have to share will need to be shared in writing to our email address previously stated. So with that said, we did have one person who has signed up. If you haven't signed up, you can still speak. The one person who signed up to speak this evening is Sally Petty. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Sally Petty. I appreciate being here this evening, and thank you to the mayor and council for having some time on the agenda for this. My understanding is that Patrick Doherty's contract is up for termination or elimination in the budget, and I'm just here to implore council to reconsider that decision. I'm a business owner on Main Street, and I've owned the American Family Insurance Office for almost 20 years. I'm also on Economic Development Advisory Board, and I'm also part of Rotary. And in the 20 years that I've been in Monroe, I really have seen such a huge growth in this town. And in the last couple of years of getting to know Patrick, his impact to businesses is unmatched. And I think it would be a tremendous loss to the city and to our business owners to let that position go. He's passionate about business owners, and he's passionate about helping us to find our own voice. And that is one thing I think I've learned in the years that I've worked alongside of him is he doesn't just come along and fix the issue. He helps us as business owners fix it ourselves. He's been instrumental in forming a grassroots downtown merchants group, which I'm a part of. He's doing so much work with Lowe's, and I think the wheels of change turn very slowly in that arena, but he has made some large strides in having conversation with Lowe's, and he's also invited the industrial park business owners to form kind of a grassroots group amongst themselves to just move the needle forward in their own businesses. And my fear in losing his contract is there wouldn't be anybody else that stands up to take that place. And that would create a huge vacancy to the business community of Monroe. So I'm very hopeful that his contract is reconsidered to keep for another 12 months.
All right, thank you, Sal. Is there anybody else who would like to speak during the public hearing regarding the budget ordinance? All right, seeing nobody, we're going to go ahead and move on then to do any council members have any additional question to ask of staff or a motion? And there our requested action motions for your consideration on the screen. Okay, so not seeing that there are any additional questions of staff, I think I'm supposed to say, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Yes. I've got that right. Right. Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is the conclusion of the public hearing, unless there are objections. Okay, pause. The hearing is now closed. All right, now I turn to the council, and is there a motion from the council? Go ahead, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion, then I have some comments. I move to approve second reading and approval of ordinance number 027-2025, fixing the amount of real and personal property taxes to be levied by the city for calendar year 2026, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford and a second from Councilmember Jake Walker. Thank you. All right, any discussion on the motion? I'm going to go ahead and turn to Councilmember Hanford. Go ahead.
This has been a difficult discussion item for the last several weeks. And I completely agree with what was just said from the mic here. And so I don't see a way around moving forward with this, even though everything that she said was true. And so my only ask would be that as we go into this next year, as we go into these next few months, if staff can continue to look into different funding sources or grants, any other options that I know that we've already been shaking the tree, but anything further that we can do to be able to utilize those services, because it is going to leave a vacuum and a hole, and it's not ideal by any means, but in order to be financially prudent for our city, I feel like this is our best option. Love to hear other thoughts, but this is very difficult, and didn't want to be the one to raise my flag, but nobody else was. So. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanford. Any other discussion on the motion, which is item number 1 and requested action 5.2 is shown on the screen? Go ahead, Councilmember Walker. Okay. All right. Any other discussion, deliberation on the motion, which is the first one that's on the screen? All right. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Okay. And go ahead and is there we need a motion for the second? Correct.
There is a question.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And so okay, thank you. I turn to the second one then. I should have more coffee this evening. So we do have a request action number 2 for your consideration. Again, I turn to the council. Go ahead, Councilmember Beaumont.
I move to approve first reading of ordinance 028-2025, adjusting the biennial budget for the fiscal period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2026, providing for severability and establishing an effective date. And I would like to make a couple of comments as well before the second.
Yep. Is there a second? Okay. I have a motion from Councilmember Beaumont and a second from Councilmember Hanford. Any discussion on the motion? I'm turning to Councilmember Beaumont.
So I agree with Councilmember Hanford. This is difficult. It's never a pleasant task to try and find places to cut. I agree that there's been a lot of really good things that have happened with some of our contractors. But just like your budget at home, you have to look for places to trim. And it looks like we have some alternatives built in case we are somehow come up with some money to hire some of these people back on an ad hoc basis, which is not committing, I believe the total was close to $80,000. We're not committing that in this new budget, but there is a plan, if possible, to bring some people back to do some work on a ad hoc basis as needed. And I like that portion of our decision. I think that that helps ease it a little bit. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walker. No, we're just going to have Councilmember Fisher speak. Thank you, Councilmember Walker. Councilmember Fisher, go ahead. I saw an orange flag down there. I made eye contact with one of you. Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
Thank you. Not on. Attachment D and the different options. And just to express that for me, number 3, proceed as adopted 2025-26 budget consistent with fleet replacement program, which leaves our contingency fund to 91,000 and fully funding the fleet program for the police vehicles. And I don't know, trying to marry these two up, if that is part of the motion that we had just seconded.
Julie?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. So
In just a second, can we pull up the attachment D slide? Do we know which?
it's in the packet. It's the one in the packet, not actually the one that was on the screen.
Okay, I thought we had a table on the screen that references what you're talking about.
Do we?
The one that talks about the police replacement vehicles and the 4 options or 5 options. We could share that. And then I'm going to go ahead and
It
ask.
is slide 20.
Yeah, it's just much smaller there than it is on mine. So yeah, I was that magic thanks. So I was looking at number 3 and I'm wondering if this is part of what we just seconded, the motion that we just seconded, if this program is in that.
Okay, Julie.
So the first option is in that, and that is delaying the replacement of vehicles by 1 year. That is what is included in the budget proposal.
Okay, so not number 3.
No.
And Julie, if I can just clarify also that that option 2 that's shown on there,
Yes.
that if the council were to adopt the motion as read into the record right now, that there would be nothing that would preclude the council from using option 2 in 2026. So if you find that the ending fund balance for 2025 is adequate, that the council could do an amendment to the budget next year.
Yes.
To allow for the purchase of the vehicles.
Yes.
Okay, so by making the motion, just so that I can clarify, the motion that's placed would be number 1 and still allow for number 2.
Yeah, we would have to come back to council and they would have to make that adjustment. But if that was what they directed us to do, yes, there would be nothing that would exclude us from being able to do that.
Okay, and then the motion that was read in the record per Councilmember Fisher, just so that I have clarification, the motion read into the record would be good for 1 and 2, but not 3 and 4, that there'd need to be direction from council to update the mayor's proposed budget to account for 3 or 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So do we have any police vehicles that are ending the life cycle that are going to be replaced? I mean, we're in November right now. So are they going to be, is there any on the schedule to be replaced in the next 2 months, 3 months that this is going to affect if we don't bring this back and look at number 2? Does that make sense?
I, I think it makes sense.
Okay,
Let me say it back to you.
Are we going to buy any new police vehicles in the next 4 months?
Yes. If these vehicles were not being deferred, they would be in the process of being purchased basically right now. They'd be being specified essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so if we delayed that, does that delay the delivery?
It does. Yes.
Okay.
It takes about a year to get a police vehicle from the manufacturer to the road at this point in time.
Okay, so if we delayed this and let's say we're really diligent and this comes back in January, we're looking at then 2027 before we get delivery. And if we do it now, we would be the end of 2026.
Essentially, yeah, it's just to figure about a 1 year span. I mean, obviously, when you're working with automobile manufacturers, there's some variability there. Sometimes they show up in 6 months, sometimes it's 14 to 16 months. Manufacturing has changed dramatically since COVID.
And then we're looking at like an $8,000 increase estimated in cost if we delay into 2026.
Yes.
So do we have a cost right now that we have settled on with the companies to build these?
Not directly, no, because we haven't specified for the new model year at this point in time.
Okay.
It is estimated that they'd be around $90,000 a piece.
Okay.
With all of the upfitting, because that's a completed vehicle.
Okay. So for me, I would like to proceed with number 3, and have this come back with that in the budget. 91,000 is cutting it close, so is 257,000. But if I read right, that doesn't talk about the money that we get from that investment on that money. So hopefully it would be a little bit more than 91,000 by the time we're done. But anyway, with all of that being said, I would like to see number 3 put into the budget.
Okay. So there is a motion on the floor. I would say that that after the motion is adopted, if you go that way, that you could do a subsequent motion to provide direction to mayor and staff to bring back a modification to the mayor's recommended budget to implement option 3. Let me check to see if everybody else concurs with that. Would you concur with that, that would be the appropriate procedure? Yeah, they would go through with motion right now to accept this as second reading, I think is what it was. And then after that, provide a motion, do a motion that provides direction to mayor and staff to bring forward an amendment to the mayor's recommended budget to do option 3. Yes, okay.
And then, so if the motion fails, then would that speed the process up of just bringing this back with this on it?
If that subsequent motion fails to do option 3, then what you would have would be you'd have 1 and 2 come before you. You'd still be able to do 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So that if it fails, you can either try to make an amendment at the next meeting when we do the final adoption on the floor, or
Pass it and make an amendment now.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
And if it fails altogether, then you all can still do number 2 next year if you've got extra fund balance or whatever the case is.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, I saw another flag going up. Councilmember Scarborough.
Well, I'm not sure what we're voting on at that point.
Right now it's second, so it's the mayor's recommended budget. It's the full budget, which would include 1 and 2.
And is what you're proposing fulfill Councilman Fisher's request?
No, it doesn't. Which is why you would do a subsequent motion to provide direction to do Councilmember
Do we
Fisher's.
plan to do that after we?
I suspect
If
that
we
after you
approve
vote,
If we approve this, then we're gonna go to this motion.
I expect that Councilmember Fisher will probably make that motion after the accepting the second reading goes through.
And if it fails, then all of it goes to next year or the next reading.
If that second motion fails, then what would happen is that we would come before you with the ordinance as you see it right now, which would allow for option 1 and option 2.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any other discussion on the motion to accept as second reading? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
All right, bear with me. This is going to be a little bit clunky.
Can we put back up number 3? And
That would help.
Councilmember Fisher, would you like me to do And then you can say so moved if you like. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay,
Wouldn't be
so
nearly as
can we
clunky
put
if-
back up the table? I know what I want to say, but I just want to make certain I'm looking at it since I'm forgetting people's names here and would like to just see it. All right. So what it could be is I move to provide direction to mayor and staff to bring forward an amendment to the mayor's recommended budget to provide for option 3 as shown in the fleet vehicle replacement evaluation and options chart that is currently on the screen.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Fisher, a second from Councilmember Fulcher, which I just read into the record and check with my clerk. That good to go? Yes. Okay, all right. Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead, Councilmember Gamble.
Just so I'm clear, then we would have an unbalanced budget.
The money would come out of contingency and your contingency would be down to 91,000 instead of the 300 and some odd thousand that's in there. Is that correct, Julie? Okay, Gamble, you still have the floor.
Good.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
I completely understand the motion. I meant to add some words on the last one about the same idea of financial stewardship. Tapping into our contingency like this I know it wasn't an easy choice for the mayor, the administrator, or any of us. But it's what's required of us in the duty of financial stewardship for the city, including the rest of the cuts. And I think that already taking our contingency balance down to that amount, I think it was 300, well below our percentage that is our target, is already a little bit stressful because who knows what other crises might come down the road. And I think it might take a few years just to get our contingency back to where we want it. I worry that doing this just to defer our vehicles one more year, nine of our patrol vehicles, 3 of our sergeant vehicles, taking our contingency down to 91,000 would really put us in a vulnerable spot with regard to our reserves in the event of a serious issue. So I would oppose this one. It feels kind of counterintuitive to do all these other things for financial stewardship when we're going to take out the rest of our contingency or get it a lot lower.
All right, thank you. So we've got Councilmember Hanford, Councilmember Beaumont, and then Councilmember Gamble. Did you have your flag going up?
Yep.
All right, in that order, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with Councilmember Walker's statements. So I'll be voting opposed. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Beaumont.
I agree with Councilmember Walker. We've had to make some tough decisions, and one of those tough decisions is on our fleet vehicles. And I agree we need to leave that money alone in case something happens and we need access to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble. We need the clap.
I just realized I never turned this thing on. All right. I am assuming if we were, this recommendation is being made because we are not concerned about major issues with these 12 vehicles, that we could defer these without jeopardizing our ability to provide safety and services to our residents.
I would estimate that a 1-year deferral probably wouldn't have that effect. However, I can't see the future, and I don't know when a crank is going to explode in a cop car.
I get that. I understand, but I'm just making the statement, and I apologize. I wasn't here for all of the back and forth on this, but what was the average mileage on these vehicles?
The average mileage on a patrol vehicle when we sell it is somewhere between 100 and 150. Really depends on how it gets used.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
150,000
Yeah.
miles.
I mean, it is something I'm very accustomed to this, managing a very large fleet to defer. Obviously, it's not a police, force. But there's increase in maintenance. I'm sure that's factored in to this. This is something that we do on a regular basis to try to balance. And we always have the ability, if need be, to off cycle. Yes, it can take additional time, but I feel confident this is the prudent thing to do. And that we're making this decision and this recommendation on the budget based off the fact that we have confidence that this is not going to impact our services, you know, our safety and life safety and health for our residents. So there you go.
All right, thank you. Any other comments on the motion? All right, go ahead. Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you. So our police department's accredited, right? Is that correct? Accredited nationally? I'm gonna go with it because I'm pretty sure it is. And I think there's some accreditation in there that also puts stipulations on how long we can have our vehicles and how many miles before replacement. And so I'm kind of curious about that too. That's one of the things that kind of went into my thinking this through is that going to affect our accreditation? Because that's a huge deal and they worked really, really hard to get that. Is that going to be then a shot against us where we have to go actually for accreditation again? So that was just one of my questions as well.
Gotcha.
Because there's a reason why they replace every 150. It's not just a number that we pulled out of the hat. I think it is attached to accreditation.
So as I was saying to Councilmember Gamble earlier about 100 to 150,000 miles, I think the more kind of pertinent stat for police vehicles is actually the number of hours that are on the engines because they run all day long. So not only do they drive that far, they also sit there and operate while they're keeping the laptops and radios going because otherwise the battery's die. Yeah, getting into the weeds a little bit. As far as the accreditation end goes, I am not aware of a connection there. And so I'd have to look into that and get back to you.
Councilmember Scarborough.
So to vote for this amendment says that we take the money out of the contingency and take it down to 91 something thousand.
Yes.
And to not vote for it says we don't.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, can the in favors raise their hands, please? Okay. Councilmember, motion fails with council members Hanford, Walker, Beaumont, Scarborough, and Gamble voting against. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. Go ahead and mark that off. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. It sounds like Councilmember Fisher, you already want to pull item 6.5, correct? Okay, so unless there's objection, actually, you've already said, yes, we're going to pull it, so we're going to pull it. Oh, a second one. Go ahead.
So 6.4 also, please.
6.5 and 6.4.
Yes, please.
All right. So council, I'm requesting a motion to approve the consent agenda items 6.1, 2, 3, and 6. You can say so moved if you like. Councilmember Hanford.
I move to approve consent agenda items 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.6.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford and Councilmember Beaumont. Were you deferring to Scarborough? Councilmember Scarborough with a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to 6.4 and ask the staff member, Jordan's not here, so, oh, there you are. Jordan, if you could come on up. Good evening. And if you could just give a very, very, very brief summary of what this is for the record, and then we'll see what questions the council members have. No.
Nope.
I think the other one was working.
How about that?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, this agenda bill is for the renewal of the ILA with the French Slough Flood Control District. That's to the west to our city where we send our stormwater, most of that through Lake Ty. So it's basically just a renewal. It's a 5-year renewal. And we've done this a couple times already. And so this is just I think this is the third 5-year renewal of the ILA.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember.
That would make sense why I don't know a lot about it because I've only been here for 4. So in the spirit of saving money, obviously I look at this and I see a $92,000 and $130,000 annual bill to be a part of this. And so I just needed some clarification of like, Is this something that we have to be a part of? If we're not a part of it, does it mean that we have to build $15 million of infrastructure for Lake Ty? Like, how does this whole thing kind of work? And is it something that we can actually say no to without having these outrageous problems come up from it?
Yes, Jake is going to probably know more of the weeds and details of this whole ILA than I am. But no, it's something that we've agreed to. We've had this ILA in place since I think 1992. It was basically put in place when the Frylands was built. And because of Lake Ty and all the stormwater that comes out of the valley there, and through those developments, we came into an agreement with the district that they would be taking our stormwater. We pay an annual rate to them, and there is a complex formula to how that's paid, and it does fluctuate. But we pay them to maintain those ditches and to take our water from our city and distribute it through the valley and into the Snohomish River on the west side.
Okay, it's just that part of the city, correct? Is that right? Just like the Lake Ty area?
Yeah, I would say it's probably most of the Frylands. I don't know. Is it more than that?
So I guess my question, is there a way to do this and not spend between 92,000 and 130,000? No. Okay.
Councilmember Fisher, anything further?
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Beaumont.
So for the last 4 years, I have served as the council representative on this with this group. And I can tell you that they are very, very responsible and prudent with the budget. Michelle Canfield is the person that sends us the information. And I understand your question. It's a good question. It's absolutely a good question. But I believe that the services they're providing are necessary, and there's absolutely no waste going on as far as I can see.
All right. Any other discussion or questions for staff, I should say? We should have a motion. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
Do we have any way to like compare the per unit, whatever the unit might be for stormwater disposal within city systems, as opposed to what it might be per unit out the French Creek exit? So if you take, I don't know, a gallon of stormwater drainage that we process from here to through the city directly, that cost versus 100,000 divided by all the gallons that are pumped out. Would you say it's like a few factors more expensive?
That is a comparison of apples to oranges in some respects, because it's a completely different system. So the city has a set of infrastructure and built out facilities that it cares for that have a cost associated with it. And once you cross out of the western boundary of the city, French Slough has a completely different type of infrastructure.
Gotcha.
And a completely different type of system that is being accounted for, different employees, different overhead costs. And so to compare those two things is it's not very comparable. French Slough has ditches and a pump station. The city has catch basins and a lake and various other pertinences like that. So does that make sense? They're very, very different. And so comparably, French Slough is probably less than Monroe would be, I guess, if you could do that comparison, but I don't know that it would have a lot of value.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or a motion? Councilmember Hanford.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the notice of renewal of the interlocal agreement with the French Slough Flood Control District for conveyance of stormwater.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Walker. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next consent agenda item. That's 6.5.
Thank you.
This is resolution number 2025-023, adopting an update to the 6-year utility rate model for 2026 and providing for the amendment to the City of Monroe Master Fee Schedule F utility rates effective January 1, 2026. And I show this is Deborah Knight.
Yes, thank you. This is part of the team effort that we've been doing for all of the ordinances and resolutions that are coming forward to the city council. So I may also need backup from Public Works Director Jacob Roberts or Finance Director Julie Elsom if needed. So the issue in front of you this evening is adopting your updated rates to incorporate the rate increase that the city of Everett has taken and passed on to its wholesale water rate customers like the city of Monroe. The city of Monroe had already established a 6-year plan that included a 3.8% increase in water rates in 2026. Now, in addition to that, we are asking council to approve the resolution to incorporate the city of Everett's water rate, wholesale water rate increase.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember.
No.
Councilmember Fisher. Sorry.
All right, so continued in the spirit of saving some money. One is it looks like in here, let's see if I can find it. Something about the Everett, so the city of Everett did not expressly communicate the rate change to its wholesale customers, including the city of Monroe. And then it kind of goes on a little bit. And so I kind of said to myself, I don't know if they can do that legally. I mean, I don't know since when in Washington State you can adjust somebody's rates and not have it be some kind of a law. So I'm sure you guys probably looked it up, but I kind of wanted to just kind of go over it for my own thing. So there's a WAC 480-110-425 that says that we have to have 30 days notice before there's a rate increase. And if they didn't give us that 30-day notice on that rate increase, I'm curious where that puts us. So if they truly did not give us notice, you might not know more. You probably do know more about this WAC than I do. But if we didn't get that notice, I'm trying to kind of figure out why we're on the hook until that 30-day notice gets posted to us.
Yeah, I'll have to defer that question to Public Works Director Roberts. I don't know if you have a response to that.
So the city, like all wholesale customers of the city of Everett, received one postcard from the city of Everett stating that the rates were raised in January. I cannot say that that postcard got to a person who would know what to do with it, nor if it got delivered to this location. That is atypical of the notification that the city of Everett has offered in the past. Historically, it's been discussed at various meetings and groups and things of that nature. And so that's technically it met the law.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be certified. We don't actually have to see it. There's nothing there to pursue with legal that you feel we would be able to then not have to pay that raise until we have correct notice.
That's our understanding. I will say that the majority of the wholesale purveyors that found out about this rate increase had the same reaction that the wholesale purveyors at Monroe had, which was, huh? So yeah, it was not well communicated, and Everett has taken some ownership of that, which was nice. And they talked about what they're going to do the next time around.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. And then there was also a consultant firm with expertise in rate development for included in the mayor's recommendation of $60,000. Again, in the spirit of trying to save a little bit of money, I looked at that $60,000. And if there's any way, knowing that this is complicated, if there's a way that we could get close to looking at that rate and what it's going to be, if we don't use a consultant, we automatically have a $60,000 buffer. So I was just curious on kind of where we went with that and reasoning behind it.
Yep, sure. Great question. So that money that's going to be paid towards the consultant will be coming out of the enterprise funds, water, sewer, and stormwater, so not out of the general funds. And that is very typical of what happens when you finish with your water, sewer, and stormwater plan updates, is to then come back in and have a consultant, a financial consultant, help you with evaluating, what are the total costs of the system and how to spread those costs then, over a 6-year period and beyond, in order to incorporate and ensure that those utilities and those enterprise funds continue to operate as required. So I would say that the thing that we're going to need to take a look at when we are going out for that consultant contract is just what that scope of work is. And if there's any way that we can potentially trim that scope of work, that'll be something that'll be coming back to council in a separate contract for your approval sometime in 2026, unless it was already incorporated into the budget, in which case we're not obligated to do that under the council's current purchasing policies. But if it's something that you want to take a look at, we can certainly do that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have already started the process of hired the consultant and looking at our utility rates for water, sewer, and, well, really water. So if there was a change, we would need to change that scope and do that sooner than later.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, so go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
As a part of that rate study, I don't know if we've done this before, but and Director Roberts, maybe there's something that answers this question. Could we inquire of Everett what their rate is for all of their other wholesale customers? Maybe it by law has to be uniform, but yeah, sorry, Director Roberts or Mayor.
Sure. So we can inquire and it's a public record and we actually, I can give you the general broad answer. There are two wholesale rates that Everett charges its customers. There is the pumped rate, which would be west of the river. And then there's the non-pumped rate, which is east of the river, which is less because it's not pumped. So we are on the east of the river rate, obviously being in Monroe. So those rates are publicly available. They're the same across all of Everett's wholesale customers, except for those two different classifications, kind of how we have in city and out of city, similar to that.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or a motion? Go ahead, Councilmember Fisher.
Approve resolution number 2025-023, adopting an update to the 6-year utility rate model for 2026 and providing for the amendment of the City of Monroe Master Fee Schedule F. Utility rates effective January 1, 2026.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Fisher, a second from Councilmember Hanford. Any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Starver.
So in Councilman Fisher's proposing the motion, it says the answers is you're satisfied with the answers you got?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion or deliberation? Councilmember Fisher. Councilmember Walker. I'm testing you too.
In a comment earlier, the person was talking about transportation impact fees, it sounded like. Those are part of these fees that we're approving in here. Is that correct?
They are included in the resolution 2025-2026, amending the master fee schedule. I don't think the impact fees were not changed. Those were previously adopted, with the exception of the impact fees related to ADUs that were adopted.
Right.
And Councilmember Deborah's got some items too.
It's my understanding that the issue that was brought forward during public comment is related to a change of use, not specific to the impact fees. So when the council adopted its impact fees, because this site is changing the type of use that's in it, that's what's triggering the impact fees. So it's nothing to do with the actual impact fees that are currently in place, but the type of use.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is final action 7.1, ordinance number 023-2025, establishing a stormwater utility tax, second reading. Julie Elson. It's the Julie Show. Can you check the, yep. Do we know?
So good evening, council and mayor. So the stormwater ordinance that is in front of you today is regarding the 10% utility tax and just aligns the stormwater operating fund utility tax with what we currently have on water and sewer. If you have any questions.
All right. Council members? Go ahead, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve second reading and adopt ordinance 023-2025 relating to taxation of stormwater utility providers, amending chapter 5.20 MMC Public Utilities, establishing a 10% utility tax on the gross income of stormwater utility providers, providing for severability and referendum, and establishing an effective date.
Yeah, I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Fulcher. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we're moving into unfinished business. Item 8, this is 8.1, review of status and options to move forward with solid waste recycling and organics collection contract and services with Megan Darrow. Good evening.
How about now? Okay.
Yes,
We can hear myself better. Okay. Since August, we've been discussing the future of the solid waste collections contract with Republic Services and the options the city has as we move into 2026. During the September 16th meeting, business meeting, council directed staff to postpone a decision for 30 days to allow additional time to consider all of their options. Tonight, I'm here to revisit this topic and request that council direct staff how to move forward with the current collections contract. There are 3 options to consider. Option 1 is to end our current contract with Republic Services and open a competitive procurement process to select a new solid waste hauler. Option 2 is to stay with Republic Services but renegotiate the current contract to add protections such as customer credits and collection events for service disruptions, performance fees, and a clear communication plan for any future labor or service issue. And option 3 is to keep the current contract as is with no changes made.
All right, thank you. I turn to the council. Go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough. And let's go ahead and move back to there we go. Thank you. So those are the 3 options the council has to consider.
Is our Republic representing? Okay. I got my bill and it was 147 change, so basically $50 a month, I guess. I looked at the bill and it looked like we had a $10 credit for the disruption and another 43 cents here and something, basically $11. And it's in line with what we asked for, but I would say after looking at that, $11 was far too little, if you will, for the inconvenience we suffered for that 3 weeks, our people. I know it's in line with what we asked for, it's in line along the way, but I would say to you that when my wife worked for Houghton Market in Kirkland, they had the sweetheart agreement with the Teamsters that when they went on strike, Houghton Market agreed that they would abide by whatever came out of the strike negotiations. And I would say, for me, and I won't be here, but for me, I would say that that contingent would be required from us, of you, for me to go ahead and have, I would put that in any contractor, request for bids to say that there is no disruption. They get into negotiations and we agree, or they agree, you agree to agree with the teams as whatever Kent came up with. So that would be my complaint I just looked at that and when I first looked at the bill, I thought, well, I guess we haven't got the deduction yet. And then I scrutinized it closer and saw it was about $11, which is about what we asked for the $50 a month disruption is what you pay and then the disruption. But that would be something I would suggest. And I don't know where that falls. It certainly doesn't fall in number 3 to continue the way it's been. It might fall in content number 2 and say we want these changes, or number 1, we want to put it out for an RFP somewhere else. Those are my comments.
Thank you. And they were very clear to me. And I would understand, Megan and Jordan, that if the council were to move forward, say with option 2, that you would come back at a future meeting to talk about what it is council's looking for in terms of amendments. It's not something that we necessarily would be asking you to provide direction for here today. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And then I saw a flag beginning to go up, Councilmember Beaumont and then Councilmember Gamble. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have talked about this, done a lot of talking about it, a lot of discussion about it. I do appreciate Republic being here and showing remorse for what happened repeatedly and pledging to improve things in the future. I think that is worth noting. I also feel that option 2 is the best choice for us. It allows for negotiation, for us to ensure that what happened never happens again, because we are in control of writing what we want into the contract. And I think that was the biggest issue is there was just some falling down in what happened. And this is a fresh start, not to negate what happened. It was not okay. And we all agree. But I think we've also explored the option of taking this out for an RFP. And it's pretty clear that the rates would go up. And I don't know that that's the best option for our residents. And they're already very stretched with a lot of utility costs going up and budgets are tight. So if we have a chance to tailor the contract to our unique needs, I really believe that option number 2 is the best choice for our residents. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And just in case somebody decides to make a motion, we do have the full motions on a separate slide. So if somebody is interested in making a motion, just indicate what motion you'd like to make, and then we'll put the full slide up so that you can read that into the record. So thank you, Councilmember Beaumont, Councilmember Gamble, and then Councilmember Walker.
Actually good. I found my answer.
Okay, thank you. So Councilmember Walker, and did I see Councilmember Fulcher's flag going up? So Councilmember Walker, then Fulcher.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion for option 2 and then I'll include comments and discussion.
All right, we'll go ahead and pull up 2 on the slides. All right, there you go.
I move to authorize the negotiation of contractual amendments to the existing solid waste collections contract with Republic Services to include customer credits due to service disruption, performance fees due failure to meet contractual obligations, community collection events for extended periods of service disruption, a structured communication plan describing communication methods and expectations during labor disruption events or extended periods of service disruptions.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Walker, a second from Councilmember Fulcher. Now we go on to discussion on the motion. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you, Mayor. I was also going to say that number 2 really seems like the easiest thing. We already have a working relationship, and in a working relationship, it is totally okay to make adjustments where needed. We are looking at increases in service no matter what in the future. Why not make them less? Why not make them with a continued person where we know we do have contact? So I will be voting for number 2.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
So I understand the motion that's on the floor. The piece that really 2020, we have to notify next opportunity if we were to use option 1 because of, we got to notify before January 1st, 2026. is it another 3 years before we could notify for termination?
The option to give notice of termination is yearly, but then there's a 3-year phase out of who you have. So there will be another option at the end of next year.
Gotcha. Because I mean, where my head's at is that I think you guys all know I've been pretty outspoken on this. I know the costs are going to go up. My position is, that I'm fine if we go with option 2, but I want option 1 as a backup. Meaning, this isn't a guarantee. I mean, and it was probably, I have too much history on this one. I mean, there's been, failed call center stuff over and over and over again. And I'm just, and then several of these, so I don't know. I just, I think took a little too long for, it was great to have you in person and to hear that, but man, it took a long time and it took a lot of posturing in order to get that. And we've not had the best relationship through. So I'm not saying it can't be salvaged. But for me personally, I think our residents deserve better is where I'm at. So if we can't get it into the contract language that we're looking for in an option 2, then I want to go out for a bid. That's where my head's at.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walker and then Councilmember Scarborough.
Just to go back and speak to my motion, because I don't know if it would require an amendment. First question is, if this motion was approved and negotiations were to begin on some of these points, is the idea that after some of those discussions advanced, you'd come back and say, here are the rough costs that we're associating with each of these if they were added to the contract?
Yeah, so I think we kind of have a framework established from past discussions of maybe where some of the vulnerabilities in our contract are and areas where we can strengthen it. And so my thought is we sit down with Republic and start exploring some of these things that we want to change. And then with that would come an idea of, if we pick these things, this is where you would see a rate increase, this is where you won't. And that would definitely be brought to council before we move forward with any official changes in the contract.
Okay, awesome. I don't know if this is just something that I was thinking, but may not be the case in the actual contract. But in these discussions, if the idea of clearer definitions and rights are assigned for commercial clients as well, the lines seem to get a little bit fuzzy in the aftermath and actually during the issue as well about whether they were getting trash picked up or whether they weren't. So some kind of specificity there and direction or explicit instruction on how they will be treated to our commercial clients. But also I just want to say, you have done so many presentations about this and you are so appreciated. And again, you were out on the day of the pickup event, busting your butt, and you are just awesome. So thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being out there too. That was, I think it tempered some tempers.
I was nothing. You were the one doing the work.
Yeah.
And then to our Republic representative, you've stayed at like 5 meetings now, I think. So appreciated your guys' response and the communication process throughout. It restored a lot of faith for me. So yeah, looking forward to option 2 if it advances.
Yeah, and we can definitely ensure that commercial customers are also represented in the changes.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Scarborough.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand it. Option 2 is okay with Councilmember Campbell's, with him, provided we had more, number 5, 6, 7 of other things, communication, whatever else you feel was lacking in the current contract, or do all those things come up if we go to the option for a RFP?
So to avoid a sidebar, I would say that the motion says what it does, but there's conversation occurring from the dais that would be incorporated into the conversation. So I just want to be clear that even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here, that I'm seeing a lot of head nods about the other things that are being discussed here being incorporated into something coming forward.
So into number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's like a number 5 here that isn't explicit, that will be part of the legislative record and part of what the staff talks with Republic about. And at the end of the day, the council will get, even if it's just 1 through 4, they would then say, but wait, we also talked about these other things, where are they?
Okay.
And so staff will be working to make certain that those items are covered. Okay, and I'm saying head nods.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Councilmember Hanford and then Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate staff. We've talked about this before, but what went on that day, and all the work that was done. I appreciate all the time that's been spent on this. I'm like Councilmember Campbell, and it's just been too much, too little over a long period of time. So I'll be voting against, as I believe option 1 should be our option. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
So yes, thanks again to staff. You guys were awesome that day. Kind of an unscheduled work day for you. Is it windy? Thank you again for coming in here. It's not easy to come in here and take a bit of a beating while we're sitting up here and unable to talk back to us. And I understand that. So I appreciate your time also coming in here. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, there's a motion on the floor for option number 2, 1 through 4, with the footnote of being informed by the legislative record discussed here that we will cover those other items. Councilmember Fisher, I'm sorry, Councilmember Walker. You need a second? Yeah, there was a second. I'm sorry, I thought you said, I think I need a second. Okay. Because we could recess for a second. If you need a second. I could get you some tea with that too, or something stronger. Long Island iced. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, discussion, bad jokes from me? All right. I'm going to go ahead and call for the question. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-2 with Councilmembers Hanford and Gamble voting against. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. That's item 8.2, opioid settlement funding plan with Rachel Adams.
Day after agenda on October 13th, and requested additional discussions of tonight's discussion is intended to present two possible funding options, which are included in the fiscal impact of your agenda, or receive direction from council on how you would like to see the opioid settlement dollar out. The CHSAB and Public Safety Committee have offered feedback that has been incorporated into the opioid settlement funding plan for you tonight. Both plans fully fund the peer support outreach specialist role, case management specialist role, and scholarship beds. The main difference between the two plans is that Plan A funds only existing programs, while Plan B shifts a small portion of the mobile mental health and law enforcement and social worker funding to add a youth prevention group. I want to emphasize though that the reductions shown in Plan B do not reduce services delivered by either mobile mental health, co-responder, or law enforcement and social programs. Both programs would continue operating at their full capacity. The change is strictly about the proportional share of program costs and or funding source, not source. As a reminder, the opioid settlement funds must be spent only on approved available in the one Washington and MOU. Both Plan A and Plan B have been vetted by the county's oversight and are fully compliant with the state and national standards. I'm here listening to provide approval of either Plan A or Plan B, or provide any direction or feedback on additional specific modifications, or to request this plan be brought back again in June. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. So I'll turn to council for a motion. Again, move to approve option A or option B or provide other direction. Okay, Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Rachel. Could you tell me a little bit more about the prevention program?
Materials tonight, it would be covering $100,000 funding to go towards the Monroe Community Coalition for Healthy Youth per year. It's funding the sport prevention plus wellness, the community awareness campaign starts with One Friends for Life program, safe disposal and take back promotion, and parent education. These are all evidence-based and data-driven programs that benefit Monroe school age.
Okay, so the ages of the students that we're targeting in this program are like middle school?
It would be through when I spoke with Joe, we just talked about schools in so it would be these programs supporting grade 1 so elementary, middle school, and
So K-12. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Yes, there's a lot to unpack on this whole thing for me. I don't know if the rest of council was familiar with Monroe Community Coalition. It's not something that I was familiar with. I did talk with James today. When that email that he sent, I made contact with him to try and get some understanding of what all this is. So one of the things that came up is this is an existing program. So have we been giving money to the coalition out of the city budget? We have not been. Yes.
it is not a funded program of the cities.
Okay. And so then doing some digging in with, having them work with the Monroe School District, there's just a couple of questions that came up talking to some of the school board members saying they haven't seen the community coalition come in with any kind of presentation for at least the last 3 years. So that's concerning to me. And then going through the Monroe School District budget, looking at how much they are paying the coalition to have things done there. Not knowing if that's a area where we can start to collaborate with the Monroe School District and match funds that maybe they're paying the coalition. But I couldn't find it in the budget, so that's going to take a little bit more digging just on the coalition side of it. And then in the email, there was talk of Aiden, who unfortunately died of a fentanyl overdose, who was a high school child. And so like with that is one of those things where I'm like, okay, so how do you slip through the cracks? Like if we have this coalition and I'm looking at partners, Monroe, Take the Next Step, Northwest Education Service, Housing Hope, Monroe Police, Health. I mean, there's a ton of them. How this kid slipped through the cracks, and what are they doing about it? So there's a lot of things in here for me that I'm not completely sold on. I would love to have this come back in January because there's a lot for me to unpack here and actually see if these things are actually working. And not just to pick on them, because I think the education process for the kids is really important for prevention. I think that is where we should maybe really start to look at where we can make a difference with some of our addicts. But to look in peer support outreach specialists, so that's $208,000. I have to see how effective these are. And we can go down the line to case management, mobile mental health, evergreen scholarship beds. How many people have used the scholarship beds? Do we know? How many people have taken advantage of that? Yeah. So I'm curious because that's $50,000 right there. And if some of these things aren't working and the coalition ends up being a really good way to go, so I'm not discounting what they're doing. I just need some explanations on some things. Maybe it's better to even fund something else for prevention instead of some of these things that may or may not are not working very well. So I would love to have this come back in January and do a little more of a deep dive, talk to some elected officials with the Monroe School District and kind of see if this is actually effective and if they're doing the things that they need along with all of these other things, if they're actually effective or not, and what the peer support outreach. I really need to dive down and see what that looks like. In the past, we've talked about outreach, right? And me and you have talked about outreach and meeting people where they're at. And I can tell you, I spent the last 6 months in our parks, and I didn't see a single person down there except for me doing outreach. So these are the things that come up in my head where I'm like, well, maybe we spend the money somewhere else where we can actually make some differences. So I don't want to get rid of the programs. I want to adjust them so we can get the most people we can on a healthy road.
Okay. And Rachel, just to underscore, this does not need to be decided tonight because it's not hinging on this doesn't inform the budget or anything like that the council's already reviewed. This would be something that could easily come back in January for council to have a more robust conversation around this. Okay, so no, yeah, I could see you were going through a mental Rolodex. It was awesome. Yeah, so I just want to be clear that, there's no reason why council needs to approve this today. It's something that if the council wants to sort of do a reset with us, revisit these things, it's something that we can certainly look to council basically providing direction to mayor and staff to bring back more information on this in January. So, all right. And I think Councilmember Beaumont had her hand up. Go for it.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend Councilmember Fisher for doing a lot of work digging into this. I really appreciate that. That helps. I'm thrilled we have this money. Let's all celebrate that, right? That we have the settlement money. Fantastic. But it's $681,775. And I think it is our job as council to really investigate these programs. Obviously, a lot of them are really, really effective, I'm sure, but we need to know how effective they are before we allocate this money and make sure that this large sum is spent in the very best way it can be spent to benefit our community. So I totally concur with waiting. And it may be that if the school district has not heard from the community coalition, that is concerning. I would love it if they would come do a presentation to us. If we're going to do some funding, it would be nice to learn a little bit more about these programs and have them come do a presentation. That would be really helpful for me. Thank you.
So in lieu of a motion, is there consensus from the council? Is there any objection to having this come back with more information in January? Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
Not really an objection, but just an asterisk. Could we, when it comes back in January, bring it back like a breakdown of each of these expenses that we've have had? So like actual numbers with the co-responder. Okay.
So here's what I'm envisioning. And of course you can have additional conversations, but I'm envisioning coming in with a matrix that breaks down some metrics. What I'm hearing is that you're looking for the cost. You're looking to understand outcomes. So, how many contacts are made, get a sense of resources, like how many people are involved in providing these services, and outcomes. So you're looking for outcomes, you're looking for money spent, and performance. I think that it would be good, and again, it'll be up to you and your future mayor to figure this out, but I think it would be good to have a presentation with the council, like a study session talk, and then to Councilmember Beaumont. I think Councilmember Beaumont made the request to have people come in and maybe give presentations or something like that would be good as well. But just making these spoken notes for the record, because somebody will listen to it in the future, that these are the sorts of things you're looking for. Does that encompass what you're looking for, Councilmember? Any objection to the direction that I'm providing to staff to bring this back in January, knowing that I will not be here to effectuate that? Okay, so that is a direction. Option C, unspoken or unmoved. All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, then we're going to move into new business item number 9. This is 9.1, 2026 Lodging Tax Advisory Committee LTAC Award Recommendations with Liam McCorkle. Good evening, Liam.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Before you tonight is the 2026 LTAC award recommendations from the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Pursuant to the Monroe Municipal Code, a special excise tax of 2% is levied within the city limits of Monroe on the sale of or charge made for the furnishing of lodging by a hotel, rooming house, tourist court, motel, trailer camp for less than 1 month consecutively, as detailed by Washington state law. These lodging tax funds can be used exclusively for, and they're listed on the screen there, tourism marketing, and operations of special events and festivals designed to attract tourists, operations and capital expenses of tourism-related facilities owned or operated by municipality or public facilities districts, or operations of tourism-related facilities owned or operated by a nonprofit organization. On September 2nd, the City of Monroe opened its 2026 application cycle for lodging tax awards. That all applications were due to City Hall by October 9th, and the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee met on October 30th in order to receive 6-minute presentations from each of the applicants or each of the completed applications, and then also determine award recommendations that are before you tonight. All applications were reviewed holistically in the framework of the council-approved criteria that was adopted earlier in the summer. The recommendations are all contained within your packet for consideration. As just a further note, the process for alteration of lodging tax award recommendations is rather special or treated special in Washington state law. As required by state law, applications for lodging tax fundings must first go to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for review, comment, and recommendation. These recommendations are then sent to council. That's where we are at tonight. Council may only choose recipients from among a list of eligible candidates that were provided by LTAC. Council does have the ability to change the award amounts within that list that the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee provides to council. However, in the event that council decides to alter or otherwise change those recommendation amounts around, those proposed changes must be sent back to LTAC for additional review and comment, in which the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee would have another 45 days to make comments on council's proposed changes before council either approves the original recommendations of LTAC or approves the LTAC awards as altered by the city council. So with that, once again, all of the award recommendations are contained within your packet. There is also a link to all of the applications as well. And with that, I will conclude my presentation and give it back to the mayor.
Thank you very much. I turn to the council. Go ahead, Councilmember Fisher.
They all look really familiar. I think we all know a lot of these things that are going on. The one I'm not familiar with is the Cascade Loop membership. What is that? Cascade Loop membership, what is that?
Oh, Cascade Loop, that is it is one of our tourism promotions at the City of Monroe. And it is essentially a magazine or a guide that offers a ton of different stops throughout the kind of Cascade Loop region. I'm not exactly sure all of the specific stops on there, but I believe that this specific request was for an advertisement to be taken out in that tourism magazine that is placed throughout the region to attract tourism.
Was this part of the thing that we approved last year for the pictures being taken? Do you remember this? Was that a grant, or I think it was matching funds of some sort to drive people towards, it was like at the airports or some darn thing, to advertise for Stevens Pass and get
Yeah,
people
I
through?
believe that was a separate grant award.
Okay.
With that said, I believe the Cascade Loop membership did receive LTAC funding last year.
Okay, and then this advertisement goes out where?
I don't know the exact locations it's distributed. I have to look back at the application.
Yeah, that's all I have. I just haven't seen any, if it's in the Monroe magazine or on the websites. Like I haven't seen anything for that $6,300 personally. I don't know if the rest of council wants to chime in on that or not.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fisher. I'm sorry, Councilmember Walker, you're reaching for your, yeah.
Thank you. This was one of the items that was discussed quite a bit, just because of the nature of it being an ad and very difficult to measure ROI on an ad in a magazine. So I am interested to hear I was interested to hear the feedback. The more that I've thought about that one and looked into it, it is a lot of money. So that's all I say, but wanted to say, but thank you for the comment.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you. I do have quite a few questions about some of these awards, and I trust the group. I know it's not easy looking at all these requests, and I really like the idea that we now have this wonderful new criteria tool to use. And so this agenda bill was very well done. It really has everything that you need in here, and the rankings are what I'm questioning. So for instance, we have Ignite Robotics. Is that a nonprofit?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then we have Gold Creek Equine Rescue, which obviously is a nonprofit, correct?
That one is a little bit more complex. I believe that the entity itself that's hosting the event is not a nonprofit, but they're intending all of the proceeds to go towards a nonprofit.
Okay. Because those were both ranked 61 and 60. So they were the top ranking bodies that received money. And so I'm just looking through here, and I'm looking at the chamber, of course, is a huge recipient of LTAC. Music in the Park, they asked for $12,000. They were awarded $9,600. So that's what, $2,400 less than they asked for. My concern is that maybe some of these, like an ad, that are not as easy to track. You know, it costs a lot of money to put music in the park on. The bands are more expensive every year. They're paying for, you know, the shell, and even though that's part of our parks department, but that event has just become a landmark event for Monroe, and people come from all over the area to come, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm just looking at her ask, the chamber's ask, I should say, of $12,000. And I think that's fair. I really do. And so you're looking at, you know, you gave her, Janelle, I'm sorry, the chamber director, $2,400 less than she asked for. And then some of these other events, I'm just asking some questions. I'm thinking about it. I have been thinking about it. And I also had a question about the Jamie Bindle Run, which of course benefits Behind the Badge, which we all support. However, they were unable to accurately track attendance. Well, you've got, it's a 5K. So you've got people signing up, right? So you've got those numbers. And that one seems to really ebb and flow with attendance. And the $1,500 they were awarded, was that, what is that money used for? What's the ask there?
I believe a lot of it is for advertising for the event and marketing.
So that's usually a race that I run, and it's really hard sometimes to find information on it. And it's been talked about over the years that that's a problem. So do they always get an award from us?
This would be the first time they would receive an award.
Excellent. That's great. That one I get behind, because they need more money to do more outreach to increase the attendance at that event, which is absolutely wonderful event. So I guess my question would just be, you know, maybe taking another look at Music in the Park. And, you know, I don't know what was shared about how much each band costs, or sort of what their costs are. But to me, that is an event that is really special to Monroe, and it didn't seem unreasonable. I know a little bit about how much bands charge, and it's not unreasonable to ask $12,000 for that event. So just putting it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Yeah, again, love being able to speak to some of these, and Liam, thank you for all your knowledge on them as well. Starting from the last thing you said about Behind the Badge, that felt like a very important award, because as you mentioned, marketing is one of the things that they could use the most help on. And I think that's something that they said in the application. So with regard to Music in the Park, that number wasn't arbitrary, that 9,000 that we ended up with. I think one of the questions in either the application or maybe in person when they presented was, what are you going to do if you receive partial funding, not the full amount that was requested? And if I remember correctly, the answer was somewhere along the lines of this 12, I think, that was originally requested was budgeting out for 4 different concert events. And I think she said that most of the time they're not able to do 4, they're able to do 3 because of weather. And so it was kind of an indication that it would be okay if we only received the funding for 3. But I'm with you. I think that that's one of our most important events. And I could totally understand dedicating more funds to it. And then was there, with regard to Ignite, the STEM competition, and then the gymnastics event, those were 2 of the strongest applicants I think we've had to LTAC, at least in the 2 years that I've served, because of that phrase, they say heads in beds. Both of those things have serious potential to bring a lot of overnight stays in Monroe. And the numbers that they have to back it up were fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to those events coming to Monroe. And yeah, thank you again to the city for the support for it. So.
All right, thank you. So just want to make certain I've got this right, Liam, that there is a requested action. The way this works is the council either accepts a recommendation or sends it back. It's kind of like a planning commission thing where you send it back to the planning commission for recommendation. It's the same thing here, that if the council would like, the alternative motion would be to send this back to LTAC and provide some comments on areas that the council would like further discussion from LTAC on. Is that correct?
Correct. And they would have up to 45 days to respond.
Okay. So any other questions, or does council want to entertain an alternative motion? Councilmember Gamble, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the dialogue. I'm always very cognizant that, I mean, we have folks that we put in these positions to review these in depth, and I appreciate Councilmember Walker serving on that. And I know you guys probably went through this to the nth degree. And so I am, and just looking at the names and who's on there, I mean, the whole, heads and beds, they're going to know a lot better than me. Based off of these different events and what they're seeing come through their hotels on where should we put the money. And I wish there was more money. You guys all know what I think about bands. I think we should up it more than 12,000. But at the same time, I want to respect the process, and so I appreciate the contributions are there, and I think these recommendations are fine. That's my point of view.
Thank you. Any other discussion or a motion?
Yeah, so.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Gamble.
I'm going to move to approve the lodging tax award recommendations of $115,000 as provided to the city's lodging tax advisory committee and authorize the mayor to execute contracts with the recipients.
Second, Scarborough.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, second from Councilmember Scarborough for the requested action shown on the slide, 9.1 new business. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
Just to be clear, Councilmember Beaumont, if you did have a desire for that music in the park funding to change, that would require it to go back. Is that correct? As opposed to them passing?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. You're good leaving it as is. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Yeah, discussion is just again, needing a little bit more time to go through all of these. Just some things, like I just pulled up Cascade Loop membership, their website, and I couldn't really get it. It wouldn't load for some of the events that are going on. So just to dive into that a little bit and see if we're actually getting bang for our buck on their website with Monroe events. So just some things like that I would like to kind of once again go through a little bit more. So I would like to delay it.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-2 with Councilmembers Beaumont and, bless you, Fisher voting against. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And that item will be Municipal Court Judge Confirmation and Contract Appointment Ordinance number 029, 2025 with Deborah Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. State law authorizes the mayor with confirmation by the city council to appoint or reappoint a municipal court judge to serve a 4-year term. The current term of Judge Ness expires on December 31st, 2025. The judge's salary must be established by ordinance and the compensation cannot be reduced during the judge's term in office. To ensure that we have uninterrupted operations of the Monroe Municipal Court, the City Council is being asked to consider Ordinance 029-2025, and a reappointment is required before December 1st of 2025. So we have several motions in front of you this evening. The first is to waive your rules of procedure to allow for adoption of the ordinance after first reading. The second motion then is to approve the ordinance which establishes the salary for the municipal court judge. The third motion then confirms the mayor's appointment of Judge Ness as the municipal court judge with an appointment effective January 1, 2026. And then finally, the last motion is to authorize the mayor to sign a contract and an employment agreement with Judge Jessica K. Ness for reappointment as the Monroe Municipal Court Judge.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I think for me, very familiar with Judge Ness. I think I'm very happy with that. And so this is one of those rare scenarios where I'm fine with waiving council rules of procedure because of the amount of engagement that we have and knowledge of the situation. So I'm going to move to waive section 12.3 of council rules of procedure, allow for adoption of an ordinance after first reading.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, second from Councilmember Scarborough for requested action number 1, new business 9.2, as shown on the screen. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Councilmember Gamble.
So I'm just going to go through this then. I'm going to move to approve ordinance 029-2025, establishing the salary for the Monroe Municipal Judge, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, a second from Councilmember Scarborough for requested action number 2 on new business 9.2. The slide is shown above. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Move to confirm mayor's appointment of the Honorable Jessica K. Ness as municipal court judge, appointment effective January 1st, 2026.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, a second from Councilmember Walker. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Would you like to borrow the gavel? All right. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
All right.
Councilmember Gamble.
Move to authorize the mayor to sign contract 2025-092 employment agreement with Judge Jessica K. Ness for reappointment as the Monroe Municipal Court Judge.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, a second from Councilmember Hanford for the requested action number 4 in slide 9.2 new business as shown on the screen. Discussion on the motion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a moment just to express how much I appreciate the work that Judge Ness has done for our community. We have a community court here, a therapeutic court here. We do a lot to both keep people accountable, but also provide people options to help break the cycle of recidivism and to help get people, the help that they need and that they want. And so I really appreciate the work that she's doing. She also, the court that we have here is one that people from other courts in the area, around the state come to look at and to see what sort of things we do. And I really appreciate the work that this council and other councils have done to support the work that our judge has been doing. So thank you all. And thank you, Judge Ness. So with that said, any other comments? Okay, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, everybody. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. That is new business item 9.3, ordinance number 030-2025, interim housing ordinance with Anita Monroe. Here.
Yay.
There we go. That one's better.
Good evening again.
We'll just use both microphones.
Okay. The last item I have tonight to present is on the interim housing ordinance. Just going to give you a quick overview of the state mandates. Cities are required to allow step housing in certain zones. Step housing includes emergency shelter, transitional, emergency, and permanent supportive housing. House Bill 1998 requires cities and counties planning under the GMA to adopt development regulations to allow co-living housing. This needs to be permitted on lots that allow at least 6 multifamily residential units, including on a lot zoned for mixed-use development. Co-living housing is a residential development with sleeping units that are independently rented and lockable and provide living and sleeping space that residents share kitchen facilities and other sleeping units in the building. So some examples of this could be like a boarding house or a micro housing. House Bill 1998 requires co-living housing regulations by December 31st of this year. That's the reasoning why we're using the interim ordinance process, because this allows the city to adopt the ordinance now while staff continues to work on the permanent ordinance, which will go through the standard code amendment process. And a public hearing on the adopted interim zoning ordinance will be held within at least 60 days of its adoption. The city already does allow for some step housing, and this is under the uses of community services and permanent supportive housing, but are not currently allowed in all the required zones per the state mandates. Co-living housing is not currently an allowed use in the city, so it needs to be added. The proposed code changes include adding a definition for co-living housing, allowing co-living housing in the multifamily residential zone and mixed-use zones, and allowing step housing in the tourist commercial, limited open space, and commercial and general commercial zones. Because of the deadline of this requirement, staff is asking that the council waive council rules of procedure requiring 2 readings of an ordinance, and also requesting to adopt ordinance number 030/2025. And I won't read the whole ordinance, but it is on the screen. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Now turn to council. Go ahead.
Anita, thank you for the presentation. Can you simplify the change? Because this is one of the, usually the zoning stuff I can like read 50 times and understand it, but this one was really confusing.
For this particular one, I'll talk about the co-living housing first. So it's just basically adding that definition and adding that as a permitted use only in multifamily zone and mixed use zones. The other requirement for step housing, like I said, we already do allow some of those under community services, and then what we're doing is just allowing them in the other zones that they are currently allowed.
Got it.
And some of the required zones per the RCW is, Code City shall not prohibit transitional housing or permanent supportive housing in any zone in which residential dwelling units or hotels are allowed. So those are the zones we have to look for. Although everything that allows those, we have to allow for transitional housing. And then we cannot prohibit indoor emergency shelters and indoor emergency housing in any zones which hotels are allowed. So it's just making sure that where hotels are allowed, that these step housing is allowed as well.
Okay, and then we're not expanding outside of where hotels are allowed.
No.
So doing just enough to meet the Washington law and following the spirit of it, obviously, but okay.
Yes, and then so they're either outright permitted or a conditional use. And those are included in the agenda packet.
Awesome. I will make a motion then. I move to waive council rules of procedure requiring 2 readings of an ordinance.
We'll start again. I have a motion from Councilmember Walker, a second from Councilmember Beaumont. Any discussion on the motion? This is a recommend action number 1 shown on the screen? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Please let the record show that Councilmember Hanford was out of chambers at the time of the vote.
Next, I'll move to adopt ordinance number 030-2025, adopting interim zoning amendments to chapter 22.12 MMC definitions, chapter 22.18 MMC multifamily residential zoning district, did I read that twice? Chapter 22.20 MMC mixed use zoning districts, chapter 22.24 MMC tourist commercial zoning district, chapter 22.26 MMC general commercial zoning districts, and chapter 22.34 limited open space zoning district, allowing for step housing and co-living housing in compliance with House Bill 1220 and in gross substitute House Bill 1998 respectively, setting forth supportive findings, requiring a post-adoption public hearing, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Walker, a second from Councilmember Beaumont for requested action number 2 shown on the screen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next item on the agenda then is Councilmember reports. Councilmember Fulcher. Thank you. Councilmember Scarborough.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Yes, unfortunately, I had a work commitment on Veterans Day, and so I was not able to participate in at the Lake Ty Memorial. But I was glad to see that we were well represented there, and so definitely thankful for the veterans that I serve with here, and those that have served. So thank you. Also looking forward to Thanksgiving, and as I always say, I'm very thankful to be able to serve with all of you up here, as well as with all the staff, and work with you all. I look forward to it every Tuesday night, and so definitely thankful. I have a lot to be thankful for. So thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Kevin, thank you. That's just lovely. Thank you. Feel the same. Feel the same. And that Wreath Lane was lovely. Thank you, Mayor Thomas, for organizing that and for all council that was there. Real quick, I know we're running late tonight. I just wanted to thank council staff, the mayor for attending this wonderful event. We had a plaque presentation on November 1st downtown and installed 3 plaques, or celebrated the installation of 3 plaques on 3 downtown historic buildings that are all over a century old. And it was a blustery, horrible day. I didn't think anybody was going to show up. And, you know, here's Liam, here's Deborah, here's the mayor. Zach came back from Washington, D.C. to be there. You know, they're members of Rotary, and just, it was a wonderful event. It's a heartwarming event. I had no idea that many people cared about historic preservation in Monroe. And I'm still on just a natural high from that day. I'm not kidding. And a lot of people wanted to donate more money. We have plans to do 3 more buildings. And so just wanted to thank the community. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a historic moment. Sorry. It was really nice. Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
That was a fantastic day. And just want to reiterate, I'm sure from many residents in this town, thank you guys for the work you do at the Historical Society. It is very, very special, and it's important. And yeah, that day just really made it shine. You were great. So thank you. And thanks to all the others. The Veterans Wreath Laying was great. Mayor, how many years have you done that?
Since the plaque was put out there, since the memorial was put out there. So 8 years? Okay. 7 years.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that. And I hope it's a tradition we carry on after your term is over, whether that's unofficially or officially, but thank you for doing that and for procuring the wreaths every year. And thank you to our veterans, including our very local frogmen. Other than that, I think that is all. Oh, one more thing. Administrator Knight, if I could ask that at some point in the future, whether it's for the extended agenda or something else, that we consider adding a rule for council members to do two-factor authentication. I think that'd be an interior house rule, but in committee, it wasn't the right time to bring that up. But it is a rule I'd like to advocate for. Oh, okay. Very odd and specific, but okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Gamble.
Yes, so good to be back. It's good to see everybody. I wanted to yeah, I wanted to thank first the city staff. That was very nice. The card, Sherry, Deb, I know Liam, a lot of you, signed my mom passing and on the 10th of October. And I just can't thank enough. The city was great. A lot of you guys reached out. Never anything, you're never ready for it, but it's just the community that surrounds you. This community is great. So both obviously my friends and family, but then the city. And I just think I really wanted to bring it up tonight because I was really upset that I missed Sergeant Jason Souther's retirement party because there's a big time connection there, and I just wanted to put it on the record that so over 10 years ago, when my mom, for those that don't know, started her journey with dementia, Alzheimer's, we had to make the very difficult decision to basically put her in a home, and that's a very hard thing to do. And when you go down that road, there's a very prescriptive way that you have to do it. And if they won't go willingly, because they are a danger to themselves, you have to make that phone call. It's just a terrible thing to do, especially as a son. And Officer Southern responded to that call. And I will be forever grateful on how he handled that, how he treated my mom and my dad during that process. It was a very stressful situation. And he's just was just a consummate professional, very loving. And I'm just forever grateful for that. Beyond his, and I ran into him all the time on the football field as coach and, baseball and all the different things that ran him into, but just had a connection to our family and obviously connected to what I've been going through the last 30 days. I just am very appreciative, and it just shows you the type of employees we have in our police force. So just to thank you all the way around.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, we're going to move on to section 11.1. What's that? Yeah, you do. I checked you off because you were number 4 on my list. Yeah, Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
All right, so sorry, I'm gonna delay this a little bit more. And I feel like I am the one that's personal or the problem that has caused this to go so long. So first, I was sorry to hear about your mother's passing. Yes, it gives us a chance. I know firsthand how amazing city staff is, how amazing our community is, our fire department, our police department. So my heart goes out to you. I know how that feels, but I also know the really touching side of our community, city staff, and how they reach out and support us. So I'm sorry that you're having to go through that. Second, the wreath. I appreciate you doing that, and also our veterans. And then the historic bronze plaques. I have to apologize. I know that it is incredibly important to Councilmember Beaumont, and I could not make it, and I feel horrible about it because I know how important that is to you, and I couldn't make it happen, unfortunately. So I apologize. And then kudos to Judge Ness continuing. She does a fantastic job. We talked a little bit about youth services earlier, and youth services in our court, maybe another alternative for some of the funding that we get from that. So just keep that on your mind. Went to the school levy bond presentation. It was amazing. We are extremely lucky to have Superintendent Woodward in our community. We are extremely lucky to have a school board that we have. They're just really on point with making our school district a really, really good district and really making up some time that we have lost in the years past. And secondly, the Cascade Loop thing with our LTAC funds. So just a heads up, this is why I wanted a little bit more time. So I went through their website, looked at places to stay, not a single Monroe place to stay. I don't know if that's up to us to put it in as a member. I went through places to dine. There wasn't anything in Monroe. And then I did find something for the Sky Valley ho holiday market tour. And it says, join us for a wonderful winter adventure weekend as we take you on a tour of the picturesque Skykomish River Valley from just outside Monroe to Skykomish. So I think maybe that's something we need to look at. Their website definitely isn't in favor of promoting things for our city. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walker.
I would like, if possible, to ask for a new motion from the council to let LTAC adjust that line and potentially move it back to the chamber. It's one that I've thought about a lot. He made a great point.
Okay.
I don't know if that can be done or undone at this point.
Just a second. I'm pretty certain that there needs to be a motion for reconsideration. I think you can do it at the same meeting. That's my recollection of it. So there need to be a motion for reconsideration.
Does it need to be made by somebody who voted against?
It needs to be made by somebody who voted against it. So you need to have somebody who voted against it.
Somebody will vote.
All you do is say, I move to reconsider the motion related to LTAC from earlier this evening.
I move to reconsider the earlier motion made to.
Oh, you can just say so moved.
So moved. Thank you.
There a second?
Second, Fisher.
Okay, so there's a second discussion on the motion, and this is only to be bringing it forward for a motion for reconsideration. There'd still be a subsequent vote to then send this back to LTAC. So this is just moving to bring it back up to re-vote on it. Councilmember Gamble and then Councilmember Fulcher.
So as my understanding is that the investment is so that we would show. Right?
We gave it a grant last year as well. So theoretically, it was a continuation of the same ad that we had last year. Granted, that application was for a magazine ad.
So not the website.
Yeah.
So the other thing too is we can do a motion for reconsideration. You can then provide direction that we bring this back on December 2nd. So you could do a motion for reconsideration. You can then move to undo the previous vote and provide direction to staff to come back with some answers at the meeting on December 2nd. Anybody disagree with that? Okay.
Which by that you'd be saying don't send it back to LTAC yet?
No, because if you need more information, you can undo the decision that was made earlier, bring it back on December 2nd with more information, because I suspect the staff members, well, Liam's still here. Are you able to answer the questions? Huh? Okay, why don't you come on up? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to ask staff the questions that you have questions about. There's a motion for reconsideration on the floor. So what we should be doing right now is deliberating whether or not to do a motion for reconsideration.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be going beyond that. So the question right now for the group is, do you want to do a motion for reconsideration? So Councilmember Walker, and then I'll come to you. Yeah. Oh, you still have the floor. You have the floor. That's exactly on the floor. Okay. We're gonna start passing around a talking torch or something. Okay.
No, just to your point, I just want to because the motion for reconsideration is being made because of a comment that we don't feel like the previous investment was made. And so that's where I'm asking, questions. Because from my understanding is the investment is to potentially get into the website. I have a really hard time believing that those that are on that committee would make a recommendation to invest if we didn't get what we paid for. Is this amount more because they want it to show up in the other areas that they have? I don't like to micromanage. That's just my deal. So I probably won't vote for it, either way, but I think it's important that if we're gonna consider a motion for reconsideration, that the council understands that, hey, we got what we paid for, because that's not the insinuation, that's what we're stating, is that we should reconsider this because I looked on a website and we didn't show on the activities. Well, if we didn't pay for that, then it's not gonna show. So.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on the motion for reconsideration? So Councilmember Fulcher and then Councilmember Walker.
I would just like to thank Councilmember Fisher for his diligent homework.
All right. Councilmember Walker?
Only because that was mentioned in this motion. There is more to it. I was refraining from getting super granular. Liam can explain further on it as well. I was refraining from getting granular on it for this vote. There are other properties of the grant award or subjective things that could be judged about the grant application that aren't just the website. So this isn't just to review the website. There's more to it.
Okay, so there's a motion for reconsideration.
Yeah,
If it's
all.
coming back up, then is there any other, okay, Councilmember Fulcher, you were no, you already said something. All right, did anybody else have comments on the motion for reconsideration? All this is just saying that we're bringing it back to reconsider, essentially overturning our vote, okay? Or your vote. All right. Is there any more deliberation? Seeing none? The motion is to reconsider the vote from earlier this evening. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, raise your hands if you opposed. Okay, motion passes 5-2 with Councilmember Scarborough and Gamble voting against. So the motion is back up for your consideration. So if you can either move to approve it, which I wouldn't expect that you would do because you've just pulled it forward for reconsideration in a majority. So the next question is, are you moving to send it back to the council or I'm sorry, back to LTAC, or are you moving to have staff come back with more information on December 2nd? Okay, so what's your motion? Go ahead, Councilmember.
I would like to make a motion to move this back to LTAC.
Okay, there's a motion to refer this back to LTAC. Is there a second? Okay, there's a second from Councilmember Fulcher to send this back to LTAC. In discussion on the motion. Okay, go ahead, Councilmember.
So I'm just hoping that they can get down to that granular portion of it and see actually what our money is being used for.
Okay.
It could come back that it's completely okay, and that's what we paid for, is what Councilmember Gamble, I think, was referring to, which might be completely okay. But before we spend that money, I like to see if it's actually just a magazine or what they're actually using that money for.
Okay, so the legislative record would show that you would be referring this back to LTAC for the purpose to get more granular, in particular on this particular one, but also to look at the rest of the recommendation as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to know if staff can bring this back to us on the 2nd confidently without having to go back to LTAC, because there's like a 45-day limit and we're talking about the holidays and then the end of the year. So that's what I'm interested in.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to turn to staff. Do you feel that the questions that have come up this evening are questions that you could delve down into to bring back more information on December 2nd?
Correct. And I think some of them I can potentially answer now. So last year we did receive an award and we put in an ad in the Cascade Loop. And that advertisement was specific to, I believe, the Renaissance Fair. So that's what we advertised. That's what we put our bid into was the Renaissance Fair advertising. I can't speak to the effect of what the website says or what it's advertising the city of Monroe, but potentially to Councilmember Gamble's point, if we don't put an advertisement in the Cascade Loop, potentially the city of Monroe does not get mentioned in that magazine at all. So that's partly what the ad is trying to do. I can't advocate for the funding at all. But the intention of that award is to put an advertisement that highlights the city of Monroe in that guide that is both distributed digitally and is also distributed throughout the Cascade Loop region.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
I think that that is a great use of money because that event has been expanded to 4 weekends. It draws so many people to Monroe. So if that's truly what it's being used for, I support it 100%. I did want to make a suggestion for perhaps next year. And Council Member Gamble, I agree. This is a group of very intelligent people, and we have the new criteria that I think has really helped establish that these are worthy groups. But I also think that we care about every penny that is going out of the city budget. And this is something that obviously Councilmember Fisher and I do deep dives into. Part of it too, I think, is that I have been someone that's been affiliated with a group that received LTAC funds prior to me being on council. And I know that they're hotly contested dollars in the community. Is it possible for us in the future to receive the actual applications? I was looking for that in here, and I've got the matrix and I have the asks and the ranking. But if we could actually see the applications, then we will know what it's being used for, and that would be a big help.
They are included in your agenda packet. I just didn't attach them as a physical attachment. You just have to click the link. It should be linked in the packet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Walker. Councilmember Hanford, did you have your hand up? I see the red light on. No.
Well, I still had the floor, I thought, but that's okay.
Obviously, I thought you were finished, just like I thought Jason was finished earlier.
That's
So
okay.
tell you what, I'm going to honor the fact that you thought you still had the floor because Councilmember Walker didn't really put his flag up. So you've got the floor. This is why we don't hop around. Okay, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm fine with bringing it back, have staff bring it back on the 2nd. So I won't be voting in favor of putting it back to the LTAC because of what you said. And I would just ask that that we verify that with supporting this group, that somehow that's going to get us something with this organization, not just outside Monroe. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, understanding that Councilmember Hanford no longer has the floor without objection. Okay, Councilmember Walker and then Councilmember Fulcher. All right.
To clarify, Liam, this ad this year is not for the Renaissance Fair.
I can't speak to what the advertisement is. This is just for the package that allows us to advertise in the magazine.
Got it. Last year's application was for a Renaissance Fair.
Last year's advertisement was, I believe, the Renaissance Fair.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess I am going to vote to send it back to LTAC just because when it comes to the specifics of it, what I'm trying to explain is the specifics are known to LTAC, and this conversation has made me as an LTAC member want to discuss it once again with the LTAC board on the night of the awarding or the scoring and presentations. The LTAC board receives the presentations and we stay till about 9 o'clock discussing each of these and assigning funds. So it's not that deliberation. You oftentimes reflect on things afterwards. And this was a good opportunity for me to say, maybe there is something there. With whether it's the chamber being underfunded, there are some other things where $500, there are a few projects on there that if they, behind the badge, if it went from 1,500 to 2,000, that could be huge for them versus a magazine ad that's 6,000. If that was to go if you split 6,000 up between some of those other events, that could be huge. So that's the reason I'm thinking I would rather go back to LTAC to be discussed. Like Liam kind of indicated, he could probably answer all the specifics now, I would assume, if there are more, but that's what I'm going to be voting for.
All right, Councilmember Fulcher.
Having chaired the LTAC for 4 years, I think, I understand it's a big deal to get to get those people who are business people together. It's very hard to arrange those things. So I appreciate every time you guys get together. I also know that it is hard to make a decision that night because you just want to get it over with and you just got these numbers and you just want it to add up to 115 and walk away. But I think that there is that buyer's remorse. And I believe that you don't want to have to look back and know that it just didn't go to the right place. So knowing how much time this is going to cost people, I still am going to vote to send it back to LTAC.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? All right. Oh, go ahead.
I guess I'm just looking at the website. This is the online travel guide for 2024 calendar of events. And we talk about the festival that we do, Renaissance Fair. And it's not on here. There's nothing on here. There was something on one of the pages that said the adventure starts here or something in Monroe. Was it. This is 2024. I don't know if I'm assuming 2025 came out, but I couldn't find it. Wasn't a little more time would probably be okay. But so I just don't think that that's worth $6,800 or whatever that amount. So yes, I would also vote to send this back to LTAC.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to send this back to LTAC. Any further deliberation or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Aye. Please raise your hand if you said no. Okay, motion passes 4-3 with Councilmembers Hanford, Scarborough, and Gamble voting against.
Liam voted no too.
Oh. You said that you couldn't offer an opinion, and now you're offering opinions.
No.
Yes, Councilmember McCorkle.
Thank you. Appreciate
so
you joining the team.
They've made a vote. What else do you have?
The only item I wanted to mention is it's okay to send this back to LTAC, but the way the revised Code of Washington is written is you send it back to LTAC. If LTAC decides to not make any changes, they want to keep that award, it's going to get sent back to council. And if council still wants to change that award, they'll have to send it back to the LTAC. So if the council wants to change that award amount, I need you to recommend what that change is actually going to be. So that way council can deliver, or the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee can deliberate on that. And if they decide, and then if that gets sent back, they hand out their comments, then council will get to decide to go with the original LTAC comments or do whatever council is intending to use those funds for here. So just want to put that clarification as right now as that motion is written is it's going to get sent back to LTAC and nothing else is necessarily going to happen.
Okay, so what I would recommend, because I could see this could open up a significant number of other decision points. It's being sent back to LTAC. There's a legislative record where the council members have expressed concern, both with the original vote that went through and also with a secondary vote after the reconsideration. Unless there's objection or clarification from the council, what I would recommend doing is double checking the record for what was just discussed. There was one main point of contention. It was the Cascade Loop. Was that correct? That I think that the council wants that focused on. And then there was discussion about whether or not allocations also should be revised relative to the bands. Was there anything else? Okay, so I think the highest thing is the Cascade Loop. The second highest thing then would be to look at making adjustments for the bands. So if there's extra money left over, if they decide to make a recommendation to not do the Cascade Loop, maybe see if they're interested in moving more bunny, do you like that? More money to the, I did it again, more money to the bands. Now, with all that said, we're also going to have Councilmember Walker there. And Councilmember Walker can also provide additional information related to this proceeding. Do any of the council members have any concerns about relying on the legislative record and also having Councilmember Walker there? All right. Staff? Councilmember McCorkle? Are you good? Okay, cool. And yes, so it was 4-3 with Hanford, Scarborough, and Gamble voting against. I may not remember their names, but I'm apparently remembering their votes tonight. All right. Okay, great. So we've taken no, it's okay. We've taken care of council member reports. We've done a motion for reconsideration. I think that's the first time in 12 years. At the same meeting.
14.
For you, 14? There you go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to mayor and administrative reports. And we're going to start off with the HRIT department report. Ally Edwards.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. I will keep this as quick as I can. Most of this is in your packet, obviously, but just going over it briefly. We've onboarded 26 employees this year, 5 since the last time we came to Council. An update, those public works jobs are moving swiftly and pretty close to wrapping up, so recruiting's going fast, and I know the police department is moving through their process quickly as well. Open enrollment time for us. So obviously that's more of an internal thing going on, but we are utilizing Constant Contact to kind of help streamline that process and making sure information is as accessible as possible. Sherry's been kind enough to invite us to the bake sale to be available and really just be more present for employees to ask questions and not feel like they have to come to the dark corner of the HR wing. You've probably noticed the website has a new look as of October 22nd. This project was a part of our 4-year website redesign cycle that we get with our Civic Plus contract. Started that in April. Wasn't too much of a load on staff. It was more just getting in the waiting line to get our project going with Civic Plus. Worked out most of the kinks. Obviously, there's a few things here and there, but wanting to make sure, of course, translation, accessibility, all that stuff is at the forefront. I'm back to talk about internal policies. Obviously, that's been a big goal of the department. We most recently passed updates to our workers' compensation policy, you might remember, and also combined our hours of work and leave of absence policies into one, just again to ensure clarity and make things easier so that when people have employees to manage, they're not trying to sort out where to go. They can find all the information they need in one place. And I would like to meet with those departments and managerial staff to make sure that they are up to date on those procedures, just so that everybody's on the same page moving forward. We've pulled the trigger on rolling out our performance evaluation system, which is one of the last modules of our NeoGov project. Very excited to state that we have finally signed off on all of our NeoGov modules. That's been a great 2-year-long project. I met with SLT a couple weeks ago and then have been making meetings with departments and managers and supervisors, and have also prepared a demo video that staff will have available to them so that everybody has insight into what that new setup will look like. We're going to launch it for end of year reviews, which will be due in January. On the IT side, obviously there's some data in there. Jason's working on the website privacy and disclaimer policy. We brought that to the committee this evening, and we hope to bring it back to council on consent at an upcoming meeting. Minor updates, there's a purchasing clause in there, but not anything too crazy. And then lastly, communications wise, the group's running smoothly, more on an as needed basis now, and they are primarily working on the utility rate communications, bill inserts, and all of that. So that is all I have for you this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the report? All right, thank you very much. We're going to go on now to the city administrator report extended agenda with Administrator Knight.
Thank you. Looking forward to the upcoming week. We will not have a council meeting or a committee meeting on Tuesday, the 25th, in observance of Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday. We do have a meeting though for December 2nd. That question came up earlier this evening. We actually have 2 meetings that night. We have a transportation benefit district meeting that starts at 6 p.m. and then a city council special business meeting, which starts at 6:30 p.m. And that's all I have for the extended agenda.
Any questions about the extended agenda? Go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough.
Okay, so do I understand we have a meeting on the 9th and the 16th?
We do. So we have meetings on December 2nd, December 9th, and December 16th. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the,
Can I ask one more
yeah.
question? These photographs that we're gonna be taking, when is that determined now?
Leading into my very next question, thank you
Okay,
for,
well, I'll
for
shut
bringing
up.
that lead in. It was outstanding.
Administrator report.
Thank you. Couple of items coming up. We talked about the save the date for December 2nd. We do have an elected officials essentials training through the Association of Washington Cities. That's Saturday, December 6th from 8 to 3 p.m. If you'd like to register for that, please contact either Jody, our city clerk, or Liam, and they can get you registered. City council photos. Please confirm that you're available on December 9th before the city council meeting for council photos. Economic Alliance is doing their legislative kickoff. That's on December 10th from 9 to 11 in Everett at the Imagine Children's Museum. Again, if you're interested in attending that, Senator Leas and Representatives Eslick and Lowe will be the featured speakers at that kickoff. Snohomish County tomorrow is holding its 2025 General Assembly. That's also on Wednesday, December 9th. That's in the evening from 5:45 to 8 p.m. That's at Rose Hill Community Center. Contact Liam or Jody if you'd like to get registered. And then finally, mark your calendars because the Association of Washington Cities Action Days, we are scheduling our trip down to Olympia would be Tuesday, January 20th through Thursday, January 22nd.
All right, any questions on the administrator's report? Councilmember Walker.
Last thing I'll say tonight, with regard to the SCT General Assembly meeting, that is where the vote is going to occur for the potential change of the charter or the organization structure of SCT. So if you are interested in that, I would strongly recommend attending because that's going to be the presentation and the vote, if I understand correctly.
Okay. Is there anything important about that vote that you want to share at this time? Is this the Council of Governments concept or what is this?
It is going to expand, I think, the purview of SCT beyond just zoning, as it was the original, I think, charter of the group. Some of the changes that have been discussed by the exploratory committee, I think are not bad ideas. It's just, I think that there is a risk of it becoming too big. And so I think it's worth everyone's listen and decision and vote from the city on if we're in favor of a group like that growing in strength and effect.
Okay. It's one of the things that I have always had issues with is you have people along the I-5 corridor more numerous, and I have had plenty of conversations, both as a council member and as a mayor, where I wanted to maintain our own autonomy to do things that are right for Monroe. And so if this is the Council of Governments that I heard about probably 6 years ago now, this is something that I think that each one of you, to the best of your ability, if you can attend, read about it ahead of time, that's a good thing. If this group is going to grow beyond just planning and land use and get into things like human services and transportation and all this other stuff, I think it's important that they hear from us. So remember, when things become more regional, sometimes our voices begin to get a little bit less heard. And I think of things like fire districts, that the fire district used to be right here. We used to be part of a board, 3 council members, 3 fire district people. I still regret to this day that I was one of the 4 council members that voted in favor of leaving that shared operating board where we had a tighter connection with our fire department. And I remember the things that were said when we moved away from that and became part of the fire district, and that it was going to reduce costs, less administration and everything, and fewer levies. And well, that worked for a year or two, but that district has now grown to be a very large district. And my concerns about losing voices on a very large district in terms of geography. That's just one of many examples of things where I just would encourage the body to think about what this organization would do, especially now that you're getting beyond land use, and making certain that you weigh those thoughts and go and express any concerns you have and be part of voting on whether or not to amend the charter. I think that's a useful meeting to go to. So just my input. I won't be here. So you all will need to work with that. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that was a really important one. Anybody have any questions on that or anything? Okay. Did you have anything further?
I don't.
Okay, great. All right, Mayor's report. Couple things. One, historic preservation. Awesome. Thank you. I'll try to make these short. Veterans Day. Awesome. Thank you all for coming. And I love our veterans and everything that they do. Also, thank you to their dependents, their family members and their friends. Police and fire luncheon. Thank you to the organizations that put that on. It was really great seeing our firefighters and our police officers that were able to make it there that day. And the food was really great as well. Lastly, happy Thanksgiving to each one of you. I hope that you have a great week next week, and I look forward to seeing you on December 2nd. Anybody have any questions for me? All right, unless there's objection, we'll be adjourned. Cover your ears, council member. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.